What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering, and now we finally have the evidence, and this could lead to Disney getting sued into oblivion. We've known for a long time that Disney makes certain hiring decisions based on certain factors that they deem important. It's not obviously whether or not somebody's good at their job. It's not whether or not they have a good work history. It's not whether or not they have a particular set of skills. It's not any of those things. Many believe that their hiring practices and who they put on screen relies solely on how they look and whatever their particular belief system is. That's far more important than getting the right person for the job. Well, OMG has been talking about this. You might know, James's organization has been talking about releasing this, video for quite some time. And now we have a 20-minute long video, which I'm going to go through in depth on my live stream at 5:30 Eastern. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. But senior vice president at the Walt Disney Company details their hiring practices, which exclude one particular group of people. Quote, "Nobody's going to tell you this, but they're not considering any, white males for the job," says Michael Giordano, the vice president of business affairs. Quote, "There is no way that we are hiring someone who is white and male." Giordano, why can't I say this name? Giordano reveals Disney uses, quote, "code words and buzzwords to avoid legal action," and even mentions a candidate being rejected for, quote, "not looking black enough." I mean, if this is all true, which, I have no reason to doubt it, this is the person who would be in charge. This is the senior vice president, right? This is an absolute, mega lawsuit waiting to happen for anyone who's been turned down from a job. In particular, this individual who didn't, quote unquote, look black enough. He also admits that Disney gives bonuses to executives for practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion, quote, agreeing that diversity helps with financial incentives. Giordano further claims that he's been denied promotions for being white. Of course, Disney tapes part 2 is coming out after this was released. Just in, Disney senior vice president now has removed his LinkedIn page after being caught up in this investigation, discussing how Disney practices discriminatory hiring practices. We've already seen all of the, kind of the big people weighing in on this. Elon Musk sharing it. It's a 20-minute long video, but let's talk about some of the individual main takeaways here, because it's absolutely bananas that this is even happening. I mean, I can't believe he said it out loud. I'm not surprised that it exists, right? I'm not surprised but I'm surprised that they say it so flippantly and out loud. O'Keefe Media Group has released their latest shocker. This time it's an undercover conversation with attorney Michael Giordano, senior vice president and team lead with 20th Television, the Walt Disney Company. He revealed that Disney was not only biased in hiring against white males for the same roles, but that the company was absolutely open about it. He also works in business affairs, negotiations for shows among creatives. Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male for this. It's just unspoken. OMG's undercover reporter asked after meeting him on the Hinge dating app. Quote, "There's times when it's spoken," he said, and he admitted that it would be said bluntly. "There's no way we're hiring a white male for this role." He said further that they'd be careful on how they message that to agents. The backlash against white male actors in Hollywood among the woke studios, such as Disney, has been no secret to the industry. This is via the post-millennial, by the way. And actors who have found themselves struggling to find work due to that. But it has seldom been so blatantly expressed. He told OMG's undercover reporter that in many cases, the bias towards, quote, diverse casting members is front and center. I think there's certainly a belief that there's just good for society. And we know there's also a belief that we're going to make more money if we appeal to a wider variety of people. He said that diversity helps with, quote, financial incentives. Now, look, obviously, let's say there's a particular scenario where you're casting for a particular role, and that role is, a certain type of family, or, there's like, oh, you have a Latino family in the show. So obviously you're going to generally hire around Latinos, this, that, and the other thing. But I don't think that's what they're talking about. He goes on to say, quote, I've been at the company for 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, he told the reporter. Those friends have told him outright when positions open up, they are not going to consider white males for this job. It's not even just casting, but internal operations that Disney has determined that race-based promotion is the best way to operate. Man, they're going to get sued into oblivion. Quote, they wanted something, or he also says the department wanted to hire a person who was, quote, half black, half white a few years ago, but that since he didn't appear like his black half, he wasn't given the position. And there was a creative executive who said, quote, that's not what we wanted. They wanted somebody in meetings who would appear a certain way, he said, and he wasn't going to bring that to the meeting. He also admitted to the reporter at some point there was likely to be a lawsuit over this fact that it is blatantly practiced by 20th Century and Disney. That's how it feels. It turns out that Disney has something of its own coded language to discuss their biases and how they make sure the hiring practices are skewed towards it. Quote, I'm guessing, he said, that there are acceptable code words and buzzwords that are used to explain what they're looking for. And by the way, all of this can be seen firsthand in this video. We're going to go through, Melanie and I will go through this video on today's live stream in detail. But, I don't want to, kind of take his thunder by just playing it here for you. They might say, quote, we're not looking for the usual suspects for this job, in a sense, he said. It's not really a legally actionable thing, but everybody knows what it means. He admitted that writers and actors are always hearing executives say, I'm looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. And in fact, over the years, the entertainment industry, many writers and actors have heard that they are not desirable collaborators simply because their skin is too pale, or that they're too male. Comic actor Tyler Wolff has spoken out against this, and many others who have talked about it privately, with the shame that comes from being untouchable. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white, Giordano recounted as being told to those pale male actors. Where do these standards come from? Well, he explains that the standards are set about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is very involved in setting standards to show diversity. He pinned the origins on everything on Disney head Bob Iger, saying that Iger pushes for diversity into shows, including kids shows, which are part of this make up 30%. Part of diversity is making up some 30% of writers on the show who are LGBTQ. He also posits that they naturally gravitate to more LGBTQ storylines because of who they are. Well, I don't think that that's unreasonable, The interview part of OMG's Disney tapes is just part of their entire series on diversity hiring, discrimination, and various policies at Disney. Disney has had its fair share of tumultuousness over the past few years. They went to battle with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and lost, and have had numerous box office flops. And parents have gotten wise to their woke messaging on various stuff, so they turned out. After the report dropped, he deleted his LinkedIn profile, which was featured in the report from OMG. Next week, OMG plans to release part 2 of the Disney tapes, which will feature a confrontation with this individual. Pretty interesting stuff. I mean, the stuff that I'm talking about, he says right here in the video. I mean, look.
Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken.
I mean, that part, if it really is spoken directly like this, I would assume that there's, a very big lawsuit brewing, especially if if you're that individual who was up for a job and you knew that you were like passed over for this reason, if you're that one individual who is mixed or whatever, I suspect they're going to file a lawsuit after this, because he said specifically that they didn't get the job because they weren't, quote, black enough.
But
How would they say it?
there's no way we're hiring a white male in this role.
Now, people will probably say, hey, this guy's a white male and he's in a VP position at Disney. And I think that would be a very fair criticism to point out, hey, this individual seems to have gotten a job. And I think that that's fair, but who knows when he got that job and how long ago he got that job? Because quite frankly, I don't think things are that way anymore. I don't think that things are quite so easy anymore. That's just the reality of it. And when you're going to go right out on tape and say, hey, actually, yeah, we're not going to hire these types of individuals, I'm sure that he feels he's been passed over for certain jobs.
Like straight to you?
Yeah.
Or okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly
To bring on any more clients who are white.
I mean, not a good look. Boy, all these dating apps, they just keep catching people on these dating apps. I think it's pretty funny. Yeah, I think the whole thing is pretty funny to me, that they just keep catching these people in the very same honeypot. You see this from that Park Place all the way back to August. Disney employees forced to prove DEI commitment or have pay reduced. Of course, this report just came out, and the stock is up today. It'll be interesting to see if the market thinks that they're going to face any kind of lawsuits. You can see their employees sue Disney over canceled Lake Campus. These aren't very big deals, but if we can get a bunch of people that feel like they were passed over for jobs now that this tape exists, it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, this proves everything everyone's ever thought. It's going to be interesting to see if any of this shakes out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.